So as a United fan this season, there's a good chance that you've watched our midfield play and you felt more like this.
Magaluf and bloody Matt Fred, useless. Absolutely useless. That is a joke. That midfield is out of its depth, like a bloody hobbit wearing Timberlands in the deep end of a swimming pool.
Then you have like this.
Oh, what a ball by Fred! Oh, meme it! Meme it! Meme it, meme it, meme it! Alanga scores! Delightful ball by Fred in the mud. All the Fred haters, including myself, in the mud. Get in!
And with Boubacar Kamara being linked to Manchester United, many people are hoping he can be the saviour, the guy that is the McFred killer, the guy that is everything we need in the midfield and more. But by the end of this video, hopefully you'll understand why he isn't that just yet. Over the past year, there have been many reports linking Kamara to Manchester United, and with his contract at Marseille expiring at the end of the 2021-22 season, these reports are heating up more and more. And so by the end of this video, you should have a comprehensive understanding of who Kamara is and whether he's the right fit for Manchester United's midfield issues. Kamara is a Marseille Academy graduate who at the age of 22 has already amassed a significant amount of playing time for the first team in Ligue 1. He initially began as more of a centre-back, which is probably something you'd be able to tell from watching him, but with him standing at 5'10", paired with his technicality and intelligence, it became clear his long-term future would be playing in the midfield as a double or single pivot player, which is where he's predominantly played this season. But don't let his height fool you. He wins 1.77 aerial duels per 90, which is more than Fred, who has 0.88 per 90, and below the 6'3" McTominay at 2.71 per 90. Kamara's biggest strengths as a player are his awareness and technique. He reads the game incredibly well both in and out of possession, and even though Kamara isn't a physical specimen by any means, he uses his body incredibly well, often able to dispossess opponent players looking to bypass him. He reads his opponents well and has excellent timing. He doesn't often make the mistakes the likes of a Fred will make at times, where he dives into challenges, losing his positioning and getting beat in transition. And even though Kamara doesn't boast particularly high volume of defensive numbers, it's clear when watching him that he's an excellent ball winner and is very efficient when trying to win the ball. Him and Fred have similar percentage of dribblers tackled and successful pressure numbers, but as you can see, Kamara has a much higher percentage, showing just how much more efficient he is than Fred. And actually, his successful pressure number is the highest in Ligue 1 this season. It's clear Kamara is a very intelligent defender for his age, and that's only going to improve as he grows older. But what's Kamara like in possession? He's got a really good first touch and is great at finding little pockets of space to receive the ball from teammates in order to alleviate opposition pressure, often picking up the ball from the back line and playing short, simple passes to players within proximity. This doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to be more direct with his passing. He's a good ball striker and an intelligent player, and as he matures and gains more confidence, I'm sure his range will be far more expansive. But even with that being said, he still does have the ability to break lines and play direct passes into the feet of strikers when the space is created. One of the big keys to what makes Kamara so appealing as an option is how incredibly comfortable he is playing as the deepest midfielder in the team. A lot of the other potential options out there may have higher ceilings as number 6s, but in the meantime, a lot of them actually play as 8s, whereas Kamara is already accustomed to playing as a 6 in a single pivot. He understands his role isn't a flashy one, even dropping into the backline at times to create superiority. Overall, Kamara's best role in possession isn't a very creative one by any means, but he has the ability to help a team retain possession and sustain pressure against a low block. His security means you can trust him at most times to receive the ball and take care of it and give it off to one of the better creators in the team. So at this point, you're probably thinking, Levin, all of this sounds great. He's exactly what we need. Well, as I alluded to earlier, Kamara isn't the most athletic of DMs, meaning that at times when left with too much space to deal with and operate in, he can struggle. Quicker attackers can get by him in transition simply by knocking the ball past him or just through quick 1-2. And this isn't particularly great and maybe more of a concern, as we know from watching United this season that these kind of scenarios happen very often for the single pivot. And it just further emphasizes that even if United get the midfield reinforcements that they need, the structure still must improve for tangible improvements to happen. Too many times in the past couple games where Scott McTominay has played as the lone six, have we seen him completely overrun in the midfield because the 2-8s have left too much space for him to cover, and this isn't particularly something that Kamara would be good at dealing with. Many people want someone like Kamara to come in so that we can have the freedom to play more attacking 8s like Bruno and Pogba in a three-man midfield, but the reality is unless those 8 positions are players who are defensively disciplined and know how to protect their number 6, Kamara will simply be left in too many situations where we're just running into the same problems that we had with McTominay and Fred over the past season. And so ultimately, regardless of who we sign in this position, we also need the structure and the personnel ahead of them to improve and change as well. So with all this being said, why don't I think Kamara is what United need right now? United have lacked options in the 6th position and have for a while. Kamara would solve this, as that's primarily where he wants to be on the pitch, and his technical security is exactly the kind of thing United want more of in midfield. But United also need someone who's going to take up the vast majority of responsibility in build-up and help progress the play. As said earlier, Kamara does like to play the much simpler basic option, and while at times that can be good and effective, I think the Kamara that we see at the moment would probably frustrate quite a lot of United fans due to the fact that he doesn't quite have the courage and the confidence to be more influential in playmaking and pushing the ball forward. But like I said, he can do this, he has the skill set, he just needs more confidence. And at the moment, United just isn't the right environment for him to come in and be a starting number 6. We've already seen elsewhere in the Premier League what can happen when you throw someone into that kind of a situation when they're not quite ready. It can shatter their confidence. And at 22, with such a bright future ahead of him, Kamara probably is better suited to being a backup option for one of the bigger teams. It's the reason why I could see him going to a City or a Liverpool, where he's the understudy to Rodri or Fabinho. Those teams would allow him to sort of embed himself into the Premier League and build up confidence gradually, while also being in a bit of an easier environment for number 6s where there are more progressive options to pass to. Whereas at United, we are still trying to figure out how we want to play in possession, and that could lead to a lot of errors and mistakes on Kamara's behalf. Now, the point of this video is not to say we shouldn't get Kamara. I actually still think we should. He's the kind of talent you don't want to miss out on. The point is just to highlight that we shouldn't be putting all of our hopes onto the shoulders of this young man, as he isn't quite there yet, and all that will lead to is more disappointment for us as United fans. Kamara at such a cheap price is a no-brainer, but you still need to pick up additional midfielders to supplement that area of the pitch if we really want to solve this problem for good. Let me know in the comment section who you guys would pick up in midfield, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already.